the mural that Tonine Cattaruzza, Octavian's grandson, painted when he came home from the war. Well, when he moved to New York. This is when, in Albania, the planes were coming overhead and all the men were hiding in. So that's it. So this is the entryway to the small home that nobody paid for, but he did not get a bonus. He did not get rewarded out of the war. Nobody from Octavian's camp seems to have been able to do much of anything as Italian Caesar, able to help the correct seed on the way in, as opposed to building up hatred for other reasons, being named all the wrong things, and being related to other people in other territories that were a problem. So that Albania scenery where the planes were coming in as the immortal and as Caesar's granddaughter, but from the future, in the past, the way that we work in this broken simulation of extraterrestrials who have a history on this earth, unlike you hosed children that just wake up in America and know nothing. There is a reason why we have a Holy Roman Empire and a Holy Roman Catholic Church, and you know a history of that. Nobody knows anything about a Schwartz. They have no history. They have a funny play spin on a Spaceballs movie in the future, but in the past, nobody knows what a Schwartz is. Everybody knows who a Cattaruzza is. That's certain. Everybody knows who Hitler was. That's certain. Those are immortal names. Those are legendary names. Before, during, and after, as the only two that own the sim and the vortex and the universe, and it's built for and around us. So now, while everything is splitting and becoming a real fucking problem because all of you are going in opposite directions of what needs to be, every time we teleport to where you are, we tell you what we need, it's like your head turns backwards, and then when you leave, you do the exact opposite of what we needed. So on that Albania shot where Tonine Cattaruzza was sitting and painting, and that one, actually the one I just showed you, is where the planes were coming overhead, and that was all of these war contractors who were speeding up. It was like a merchandise. They wanted to see new things. They wanted new weapons. They wanted the biggest and the best, like, tanks, and they wanted to be sold all these things. And then all of a sudden, like, the countrymen were getting like all excited, and then they had to think of new ways to make money to pay for all of the things that they wanted. And while all of you idiots were doing that, there were other children in other lands that were watching this, listening to this, and you know what happens for a rich man. A rich man has more than enough money, and if he can't get his way and he wants to have a tantrum like a little piece of shit, and I can't get somebody to snipe his fucking useless ass off the placemat, then what happens is he pays one of the other children that are not in inner sanctum and were not born of one of the last tribes of It's Real, which I know you say Israel. I'm like, no, it's real. It was my saying then, it'll be my saying now, and it'll be my saying forever. I have a mind of my own. You're sitting in it at some point, and I need to get rid of you if you are not useful. That's the way that works. So the useless white man without facial disfigurement that has a lot of money decides that he's going to go to a more poor area. He's going to hire some of the poor people that Tsarina, had she not been ousted and her grandfather's future totally ruined for some stupid whatever, was trying to redistribute the weight of the planet in order, wealth-wise, in order to set up like a tributary system of funnels where the higher legionnaire, he funnels down to some of the other children in wallet only. They're not allowed to travel and see where their funds go. They have to stay in whatever mess they create at home. And if they're going to war, they war there, but nobody's sending them supplies. So, and that's how we were planning on fixing the world before this crown thing became a fucking issue with my grandfather and then myself and Elizabeth and all the fucking shit that goes with that. So a rich man will go to a poor area and find a not facially disfigured or facially disfigured, not their color, and they will pay that person to go gypsy for them and go move around and hear what's going around and what are people saying, what are people doing, because they want to be kept into the loop and into the know. Here's the thing. When you alert the children that were never, when you call attention to the children that didn't know that something was going on, and then now they're learning, wait a minute, what do you mean? Like, the people that keep us safe, like there's a problem with them? What do you think the shitty-ass children who want more and want better, what do you think they're going to do, stupid rich guy? I'm just curious, because that's how the whole fucking thing went sideways. And then we kept telling you who it was, and then you get fucking mad. I'm like, I'll just fucking kill them all. Here's the thing. I stick in Auschwitz all the fucking Jews from the local area, and we enslave them. They don't get food, they don't get water, they're walking around, and it's a long, drawn-out process. Is that the better death than the Viet Cong, where I go in, I say, who are they torturing? Give me the names of the people and where they are, of where they're torturing people. I give it to the general, same facial disfigurement as the people being tortured, and I say, please go and kill them. Put them out of their misery. Whose life was better? Where did I gain, like, sympathy as the general's daughter with all areas stupid fucking humans? I'm just curious. I personally think the Viet Cong move that I did as Jane Fonda was the best exercise ever. They're being tortured. I'm giving the general the address to send their own men to put them out of their misery, because I don't like anything being tortured or drawn out. Quick death. Nothing fast and painful. So, are you telling me that Auschwitz was the better way to do it? I'm just curious. All areas stupid human. Because it has to be one or the other. You don't have a choice. Somebody's going to die either way. Is it better for the long, drawn-out slave death where you starve them of food, clothing, of any humanity or humanitarian need whatsoever? I mean, it was disgusting what they did there. I tried to shut it down, but again, you're all area ludicrous and lunacy when I said I need ridiculous speed, rid for the cat. The entire operation, I don't want to see it. I don't want to feel their pain. I think it's the disgusting display of what you humans are capable of. No extraterrestrial would do this or allow this. But again, you're holding me hostage in the future. So now I have to work as my own hostage negotiator in the past as this rolls into the future. And then your grandchildren become more fucking dumb and useless than you were back then. So now I'm just curious, all areas, stupid fucking human. It wasn't Hitler's fault, and it wasn't my own. We're just the two immortals that have to put our name, that we inspected it, that we told them what our wishes were, that they were to obey, and then they didn't. So all those names underneath Hitler at Auschwitz, Hitler and Cattaruzza said, this is a humanities violation. We don't stand for this. We want this shut down. In fact, we want them released because they're not the problem. The problem is elsewhere. But somebody's making a mockery of the system and making a proclamation by doing this. For campaign raising, for more equipment and more war equipment then and in the future. You know, between Hitler's World War I, II, with the Auschwitz, where there were just like some really cool tanks that you guys put together with metal. Oh my God! Why is it in 1980s to 2020 they rolled out computerized drones and computers? I'm just curious to like general public that's not allowed to know such things exist. Yeah, you better get your fucking part straight, humans, because you're fucking useless. And the more of you hanging out in like a Manhattan that we can kill, the better. Because we got real shit to do. And your merchandise and branding and raising funds for one another. And then not being able to chase the dollar with every hand that touches it. And what they purchase and what they buy. What they teach, what they spread. It becomes a real fucking problem, and you become more useless to extraterrestrials and immortals that don't want to live amongst you. We really don't. So now, what is holding back my Last Supper approved immortals from coming to get me as the 10 tribes of the racially correct? Because not every white meat is the same. Chicken is chicken, pork is pork. Jews don't eat pork. That's what pork fried rice in the facially disfigured and disturbed Far East pawn off in their wontons. But the pierogi people, they're not having any part of it. So I'm just curious, because that's a Polish, in case you don't have your like world slang proper. Poland has pierogis, and the Far East stole the Poland's pierogis and marketed them in Manhattan when the first wave of alien immigrants that were not allowed ever by any king and any dollar that was ever earned honestly and earnestly. And then they dubbed over and made it like they were the heirs to some other emperor. There was never a Roman emperor ever on the face of the earth, anywhere through history. I'm an immortal. And I'm Octavian Caesars. We are Romulus and Remus. We own the placemat at the Last Supper, no matter which way this chases or goes. You're not up to snuff. I've been snuffed out. I'm still here. So that's the way that works. Because I know on my plan, and where I come from in Real Star Equipment, which is what everybody's trying to get to in order to reprogram everybody's heads literally by a keyboard, your time it takes to catch on and to catch up and to come get me and fly me to whatever country I fucking need in order to work in the department that I need for national security and for humanity's security. 41 years, really, and you're proud of yourself and you think you should live. Why? As a decision maker somewhere? That's been a real fucking problem. Right, I think merchandise and marketing, brandish marketing, it's also tarnish, is what we call it where I'm from. Because at first you're like, oh, it's so great, it has my name on it, I'm going to be a legacy, I'm going to be a pogo. You're going to be a pogo until you then open your fucking big ass mouth, go teach in some university, it then gets spread throughout all the lands. Now they all want to be space engineers. It's going to cause a real fucking problem for humanity's like sanity and keeping their heads wired properly. I had to say this to Anthony before. I'm like, you know, the humans are hardwired. And he goes, hardwired, what do you mean by that? And my mom comes behind me, she's like, hotwired? Did you say hotwired? I said, whoa, Linda, no. I said hardwired. I said, but you'd have to understand mechanical engineering. I said, when you have electrical, you normally ground the force so it doesn't shock you. I was like, and then you put the input and output so the current carries properly. I was like, you don't want shocks going into people, usually. So, but humans come hardwired. Normally they're very sleepy and they're not dangerous until certain idiot-ass, non-facially disfigured whites, the chickens, then pay the fool to investigate and call attention to things that then cause mass mayhem due to Miss Mayflower in the stolen United Kingdom with only herself and nobody to back her up.